Welcome to this brief introduction into Wing Chun Kung Fu. I know a few of you have joined me live. Hi John, hi Dave, Ian, Simon. I can see you all there, right? Listen, what we're going to do over the next few minutes is I'm going to give you a brief introduction into the Wing Chun Kung Fu system. And then over the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to provide some short bite-sized Wing Chun sessions online, which will lead up to some full courses that we're going to place onto the Skillzing App. Skillzing App you can download free of charge at the Google or Apple Play Store and also on skillzing.co. So Wing Chun, as I'm going to describe it, is the way I've understood it, and I've been training it for just under 44 years. My trainer, my only trainer in Wing Chun is Grandmaster Samuel Kwok, probably to this day, but definitely for the last 40 odd years, the best Wing Chun guy and Wing Chun instructor in the world. So all I'm going to say about Wing Chun is this. The easiest way to think of Wing Chun is a principle of moving, striking, and then running like mad. 95% of Wing Chun works on hands and arms, and very little of it on legs, high kicks, and throwing techniques, unlike your Brazilian jiu-jitsus and your karates and your kung fus and your kickboxing, which is out there today. So Wing Chun is good for everybody in so much as if you have limited mobility, Wing Chun still can benefit you. It is one of, not the, but one of the fastest hand arts in the world. It is very simplistic, and it was created by a young lady called Ning Wei, who was a nun 350, 400 years ago. She passed the style on to a lady called Yin Wing Chun. Wing Chun loosely translates as beautiful springtime, so it's got no fight connotations whatsoever. Wing Chun can be a lovely mix of yin and yang. It can be soft and holistic. It can be aggressive and great for self-defense. It can be anything you want it to be. In fact, nowadays, there are at least, I know of, about 27 different variations of the Wing Chun system. Traditionally, Wing Chun was taught in a specific way, and of course, as we've evolved over the last few hundred years, we've started adding things to it and throwing, chopping and changing and all sorts. So now there's Wing Chun styles that have got high kicks in it, which goes against the core principle of what Wing Chun's about. You've got Wing Chun styles with grappling techniques, and people start cross-training with it. It's all good to do, but the reality is what I'm going to go through is some of the basic historical stuff, how I was taught when I was a young child, and what stayed with me and has become the core of everything I've done over the last 25, 30 years when teaching, but over 44 years now in my training. And that is, I've used it as a central pole behind everything. My military combat, my self-defense, because it works on a principle of move, hit, run like mad. It makes perfect sense to me. Now, Wing Chun has 3 hand forms. The first form is called Silom Tao. Then you've got Jung Kyu and Bilji. It's got a dummy form. Most people will recognise this if you know anything about martial arts. That's like a wooden pole with 3 arms, 1 in the middle, 2 at the top, and a leg. You're going to have a knife and a pole form as well. So it's got lots of forms, and the forms are like an index to a book. And I'm going to go through a part of one form, although I'm going to do it fast for this presentation, and in a later session we're going to do it at its proper speed, just to show you the sort of things we have. Now, regardless of your mobility, I've already said that, regardless of your fitness levels, regardless of everything that is you, I promise you Wing Chun can benefit you in some way, because you can approach it either holistically and just enjoy the forms and some of the exercise, or you can approach it as a proper self-defense system, depending how you want to apply it. And that is a change in your mindset. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of basic movements to practice at home in Wing Chun. First things first, you'll notice I'm standing square and stance based. I'm not putting a guard up, I'm not doing anything at this moment in time, I'm just standing square. What Wing Chun taught me as a kid was when I was specifically getting into my teenage years, most fights don't happen where someone squares off with you and they put a stance up, like in Karate Kid. I realised actually most fights happen from when I'm standing square. But the beauty of that is I can do 2 things really well. I can move to my left and I can move to my right with ease when I'm neutral. The neutral stance is me just standing with my feet shoulder width, my hands are up, protecting my head, and my shoulders are nice and square and relaxed. So Wing Chun gave me this as a kid, so I realised I could move to my left as quick as I could to my right. Now, I did say 95% of what we do in Wing Chun is hands and arms for striking and for blocking. But of course, they're led by my feet, which give me the right positioning. So there is, as you develop Wing Chun skills, you realise so much of it is just about your ability to manoeuvre quickly. So your stance is really important. So, little practice for you guys, and the ones that are watching live, I want you to practice this and send me a video, right? So, stand with your feet just wider than shoulder width apart, bend your knees, so your knees are just slightly bent, not all the way bent, and then place your left hand in front of your right hand with your fingers together, like so, and your thumb like this. Don't have your hands out like that, please, because someone will come along and then do that to your finger, so you need to keep them straight. Second thing is, your left hand is approximately 6 inches in front of the right hand, and your right arm is approximately 1 fist distance from your rib cage. So you're not going to lock yourself in, because that creates tension. You're going to be nice and relaxed, and your hands are out in front of you. Now, Mansao, Wusao, Wusao, Mansao, they're going to change. But ideally, what your hands need to do is they prepare you for a guard. They give you that ability to say, I'm ready for something, although I'm not quite sure what's coming in. It's always amazed me over the years how in martial arts, we train people in set routines to defend against set strikes. I'm going to throw a straight punch, I'm going to throw a hook punch, I'm going to throw a kick, I'm going to grab you. Now I understand that in principle at a basic level, but at the more advanced level, we've got to replicate what happens on the street. No one actually says, I'm going to throw a straight punch at your face, just prepare yourself. I'm going to throw a hook punch, I'm going to grab you. So in Wing Chun, the beautiful thing about having a neutral stance is whether they throw a left-hander or a right-hander, I can change both sides with equal ease. Now it does require a bit of coordination, so we have a footwork drill, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which is pretty simple to do, and it requires you just to be able to move and turn your body. So it's nothing too strenuous. Now, we've got our guard up, our left hand is approximately 6 inches in front of our right hand, as I said a few minutes ago. Now what we're going to do is this, with our feet just wider than shoulder width apart, we're going to turn both feet 45 degrees. And then we're going to do this, like a windscreen wiper. We're going to lift our toes up slightly, and as we glide, you can see I'm turning my upper body. I'm only showing you my upper body today. On the next session, we're going to do a full screen. You'll see that my shoulder's turning because both of my feet are turning at a 45-degree angle, like so. Now, the good thing about this is I'm going to transfer weight from one side to the other. So again, if I am limited in my mobility, this is a good way of just doing some basic exercise. Now, when I've turned to the leg that I'm leaning on, I'm going to place a larger percentage of my body weight onto that leg. It's going to roughly be about 60-40, 70-30. So that basically means I'll turn onto my right leg is now taking more of the weight than my left leg, and both legs are bent. I'm now turning in the opposite direction. I'm turning, I'm turning, I'm turning, I'm turning. Now, that gives me the core understanding of the following. If I'm a neutral stance, I can turn this way, I can turn this way, I can step this way, I can step this way. Remember, Wing Chun is primarily move, hit if you need to, run like mad. So the principle of movement is really, really important in Wing Chun. And one of the first exercises you can do, and I know the guys watching me now, you should be doing this anyway, is learning to turn. Now, traditionally when I was a kid, I got taught to do everything in this position with my arms back. And if I'm turning, you can see that I'm pushing my chest out and I'm just turning my feet. You can only see that because of my upper body's turning, which at the moment is probably more important than you seeing my feet, because it's giving you an understanding of how square my shoulders need to be. Now, my feet are doing this. They're standing just wider than shoulder width apart. They've turned 45, 45, 45. I'm gliding across, lifting just my toes up, my balls on my feet, and I'm putting the rest of my foot in, and you can hear it. And what I'm actually doing is transferring 60 to 70% of my weight onto the leg that I'm turning onto. So, first drill. Second drill from there is a really easy one. If the principle is to move, doing this is never going to defend successfully against someone who's got intent and wants to punch me in the face. And to be honest, there's been a lot of people that wants to punch me in the face. So therefore, I'm going to step. Now the rule in Wing Chun is, if this is representative of my feet, if one foot steps that far, the other foot recovers the distance. It's easy. I mean, if my feet are comfortable at this distance and I'm balanced like I am now, I step one pace across, my other foot recovers the distance that I've just made. That way I'm not standing extremely wide, which is what I'm doing now, which is why I've got lower, or I'm too close together, in which case I'm off balance. So remember this, when I'm making a step to the left or to the right at an angle of 45 degrees, I'll come back to it, yeah, all I'm doing is I'm stepping and I'm recovering. Step, recover, step, recover. Now, that basically puts me in a position that whenever I've got to my new position, I step 45, I'm still going to be balanced as I was when I was in my original position. So I've gone step, recover, or step, recover. Now, if that doesn't make sense, you have to tune into the next few sessions, wouldn't you? Where I'm going to show you the full body, but for the sake of this intro, I just want you to understand this. I've got my left hand in front of my right hand, I've stepped 45 and I've recovered that position with my right leg. So now I'm standing 45 degrees of my opponent that's throwing a punch. Now this is what I particularly hate about Wing Chun, and I've been doing this a long time, and I've been doing this in many, many countries, and I've done this with thousands of people. People, when they throw punches, if that represents my head in training, they throw a punch and they stop it there. That's never happened to me in a real situation. People want to punch you in the face. That means their intent is different. So when someone's trying to train with you, even if they're young, get them to hit you as if they were hitting you with intent. Because then we'll see how good your footwork is, and then we'll see how good your reaction is, which is what Wing Chun is all about. It's about relaxing and creating a reaction time. Anyone that's seen my pads by numbers course, and a few people have been starting to download it from the Skillzing app that I was telling about in skillzing.co. You'll know this. I talk about this equation all the time. Relaxation equals speed, speed equals momentum, momentum equals power when you have good technique. In Wing Chun, relaxation is your ability to just relax. Get your breathing in sync with your physical action, so your muscles, instead of contracting, are nice and relaxed, which means they're going to be faster when you're doing technique. It's really easy. Relaxation starts with your feet. These things at the end of your legs, so that you can just maneuver quickly to the left or maneuver quickly to the right. It's pretty basic, really. So, a couple of basic things on footwork. One was that turning 45 degrees, windscreen wiper. And the second one was how you convert that into a situation where you're stepping 45 degrees. Now, I keep mentioning 45 degrees. The most common angle of which we apply technique in Wing Chun to be successful is 45 degrees. The reason being is because I don't want to get too far away from my opponent that I can't reach them. And I know that if I go 45 degrees, I can stay relatively close to them, so then I can strike them. Equally, I more want to go 45 degrees because it's faster for me to get there. It gives me a safer exit and it gives me a faster exit. I.e., if I start stepping out and then stepping around, it takes 2 bits of footwork. If I go 45, I'm there in 1. Hopefully you understood that. So let's move on to the punching element of it. This is called chain punching. Now, chain punching, according to most of the Wing Chun guys I've ever met who've been teaching this stuff, is the most successful punch in the world. What a lot of rubbish. Wing Chun chain punching is, without doubt, the fastest way of punching I've ever seen. But it doesn't mean it's the most successful. I can tell you that I've probably met loads of people in pubs on a night out on a Saturday who've never had a martial arts fight in their life. And they will throw a punch at me and they'll rip me a lot harder than I can get hit in chain punching. But chain punching is about teaching you to relax and also to hit repetitively even, onto a target. So whereas a conventional punch has to come back, I'm doing more karate or kung fu, other styles of kung fu punching, where I'm having to travel this whole distance. In Wing Chun chain punching, I'm constantly just recycling the punch underneath and over the top. Now what I've got is this constant striking action on my target. So if I'm hitting someone in the mush, I don't need to hit them hard. I mean, think how many times you trod on a drawing pin and you've gone and it hurts like mad, or a Lego piece if you've got little kids. Doesn't that hurt? Yeah? Whew. Right? The reason why I'm saying that is because human beings ain't built for fighting. We're built for making babies and dancing and drinking the wrong stuff and putting the wrong stuff inside our bodies. That's what we're built for. We're not built for fighting. That's why we've always worn armour. So therefore, I don't need to have a massively powerful punch. What I need to be able to do is get there fast. In this case, Wing Chun chain punching is very effective because it will give me the opportunity to get to my opponent and repeatedly hit them many, many times in a short period of time. And I don't need, on my Jewish nose, to get hit too hard for my eyes to water. And I don't think you do either. And I've heard this 1,000 times. Guys go, I can take a punch. Oh, okay, mate, all right, whatever, right? So the reality is, this is a chain punch. You're going to put your left hand approximately 6 inches in front of your right. And yes, you got it. John, do me a favour. Send me a picture of you doing this because I saw the video last week and it was wrong, all right? Listen, hands here, fists here. As I'm punching over the top, and then punching underneath, I'm keeping my elbows tucked in. Wing Chun, we work the square of the body. There's no extended movements. We're not throwing big wide punches or doing anything like this. We're working squares. So therefore, the more I keep my elbows in, you can see what I'm doing now? The more direct it is. Let me put something into your head which makes perfect sense. The quickest way from A to B is a straight line. And yet, I live in a place in the world, Milton Keynes, where every couple of 100 yards we seem to go around a circle, called a roundabout. That takes time, and it also plays on our tyres, i.e. all the rubber runs out on one side of your car. If I'm throwing a straight punch, the more off the line I go, the slower it's going to be. Wing Chun works on a principle, like the Romans did. Get from A to B as quick as you can, one straight line. So therefore, when I'm throwing these punches, if I'm just going in a straight line, and I'm keeping my elbows tucked in, what I'm effectively doing is making my punch faster. Now this is the other thing. Speed is not measured by the delivery, it's measured by the retraction. In Wing Chun, I learnt this as a child. And that is, the more relaxed I am, the more I can hit and retract. The retraction is what I measure my speed by. Most Wing Chun guys I've ever dealt with, in fact most martial artists I've ever dealt with, always work on hitting something fast. But they don't work about recovering their guard. That basically means I hit you, but if I get my arm out there and I don't put it back very fast, I'm now open for a counter. So we have to consider that in Wing Chun. Chain punching does that for us. You see, every time I punch my arm out, as I bring it back in underneath, you see I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing my hand back in to give me that cover. It's a really fast way of punching. It's really good for circulation. So if you're doing Wing Chun for holistic reasons and you don't want to be the biggest, baddest person in your town and you just want to do some exercise, it's great for circulation, great for blood and oxygen flow. And it's great for relaxing you. It will relax your shoulders. So there is a holistic part to Wing Chun training. Anyway, bit of footwork, bit of chain punching. Next bit. Our blocks in Wing Chun are all driven from our forms. So in karate you use kata, yeah, or kata, or kata, whatever you want to call it. In Kung Fu we predominantly use forms, right? Now our first form is called Silum Tao, which means a little idea. It teaches all of our basics, positions, energies, techniques. In our second form, Jung-Kyu, we learn all of those plus footwork, yeah, and something called MDD, multiple directional defense. Now the reason why I'm mentioning that is because each form, there's 3 hand forms, there's a dummy form, that's that wooden dummy with a, yeah, and then there's weapons forms. Each form teaches us something to add to our skill set to make us more complete when we've completed the system. That makes perfect sense, right? So, Silum Tao. Silum Tao starts with your feet together. You can't see that, I'm only showing that part of my body for a reason. I bend my knees, I've opened them out, but what I'm really learning is I'm learning how to apply positioning, energies. Now, I'm not going to show you the whole form now because that's one of the sessions that's coming up. And I'm doing this way too fast for how this should be developed. Remember, Wing Chun can be done holistically and also aggressively and also blah, blah, blah. It has loads of elements to it. So the form teaches us loads of different things. Now, I'm going through this at a ridiculously fast pace, partly because I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to it on the next session. But the other reason is because this is an intro. And I just want to show you that's the first form. Now in that form, we've learned our positions. You see, everything's at a 45-degree angle, did I tell you? 45 degrees is the most consistent angle we use in Wing Chun. So that's the same with our blocks. Tan sao, fingers parallel to the eyes, arms tucked in, gap between the elbow and the ribs. Nice block. Some of our blocks are cover blocks. Now, in Wing Chun, remember I said there was loads of variations of it? I know of loads of variations, over 20, 27. I know some people teach Wing Chun and their tan sao is down here. Some people teach it up there. Now, I'm not here to argue the wheres and the what's good or what's bad. The principle is this. Tan sao is a block which is called a cover block. So this is where I am going to say something. Over the years, I've seen lots of Wing Chun instructors teach someone defending against a hook punch with intent. You know, your boxer, your kickboxer, your cross trainer, someone who knows what he's doing and throws a big hefty hook punch. And the guy that's doing Wing Chun turns his feet, doesn't move, stands there, puts a tan sao there and relies on that little bicep to defend against a massive arm coming in. Now my bicep isn't particularly strong. In fact, no, I don't think I've got any. So the reality is my bicep isn't going to defend, it isn't going to be successful. So we can't measure the art, Wing Chun, by not being successful because one practitioner of it got his head smashed in because he did this against a hook punch and smacked himself in the face. So tan sao, when applied properly, is a cover block. Someone throws a straight punch at me and I use tan sao and I'm on the outside, 45 degrees, tan sao becomes a very effective block and enables me to maneuver in and strike. So we have to have block selection. We have to know about the block and when its strengths and weaknesses are. And more importantly, we have to know how we can apply that block to best suit us. This is what I learned as a teenager when I was doing Wing Chun. I was probably training 5-6 years and I started realising certain blocks were made for me. For example, the bill. It's quite an advanced block in Wing Chun, but effectively I'm thrusting my fingers towards my opponent's eyes. Here. Real easy technique. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bill's great. Bill is the longest arm weapon I have because I've got my fingers pointed out. I realised when I was a teenager, and I used to get in a lot of scraps, someone threw a punch at me and I stepped to the side and I bill them, and all of a sudden their intent was coming at me and my finger was stabbing them in the eyeball. Great. Perfect. Worked. I didn't have to do anything else in most cases because that in itself was enough to get them back. Give me the opportunity to get out of it or carry on the fight. The reality is there are blocks, and in Wing Chun, a good Wing Chun practitioner finds which one works for them. So this one here, this is called Wu Sao, the Wu Sao block. Now, your tricep is 3/4 of your arm mass. So your tricep, supported by your shoulder, your back, and your big engines, these things, your quads. So when my tricep is blocking against a hook punch, all of a sudden, I'm not relying on my little bicep, which is going to start flapping me in the face. I'm relying on my whole body weight being there. That's why so many martial art styles and your more traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu styles work on a principle of using body into their blocking. Because it's just like 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more effective. In Wing Chun, we can do exactly the same. There's one last thing to blocking, and that is this. The most commonly known block in Wing Chun is called the bong. This one here. This is like iconic in Wing Chun. Ip Man. Ip Man was the most iconic Wing Chun man in Wing Chun's history. He was the one who taught Bruce Lee. And there's a whole sort of section of films. Ip Man 1, Ip Man 2, Ip Man 3. All out there, went to theatre goers all over the world and they went, oh, Wing Chun's brilliant. And there's all the action. Now, if you look at any of that footage, this is in there all the time. Called Bong Sao. Bong, wing arm block. Brilliant. Until someone's got intent and wants to knock your blimmin' head off, you choose to use it at the wrong time, and this is as useless as a chocolate fire guard. Conversely, against a straight punch, when you use it correctly, is one of the best blocks to use. So, blocking, we have loads. We have about 16 different blocks in Wing Chun, and the blocks are personable, i.e. you're going to use the ones that work for you and discard the ones that don't. That's why it's good. But in our forms, we're learning how to apply those blocks so that we can actually choose which ones work and which ones don't work for us. And remember, we have 3 hand forms. The one I showed you very fast was Silam Tao, and then we've got Jiang Q and Biu Ji, etc, etc, etc. Now, Once we've done our blocks and we've got our basic strikes, it's probably worth me saying, in Wing Chun, good Wing Chun, we don't really restrict ourselves to this punching. We elbow, we gouge eyes, we grab things and pull it, we headbutt, we bite. We kick, but we only kick below waist level. Now, again, a lot of Wing Chun guys that see this, and like John, you're one of them, who've been training in Wing Chun elsewhere, they do lots of high kicking. The reason why traditionally I've never taught high kicking, the way I was never taught high kicking, was because the higher your leg raises, the more off balance you are. You just got to think about it. So I want my feet to be firmly, if they can, on the ground, and when I am kicking, I'm kicking someone in the shin or in the kneecap, 2 pounds per square inch of pressure to break a joint. If I take his kneecap out, I know I'm going to be able to get a good strike in. So our strike elevation is down to the individual. Wing Chun teaches us everything. Punching, elbows, gouging, grabbing, biting, headbutting, kicking, kneeing. It's how you want it to be, providing it falls within the parameters of what the Wing Chun system says. And finally, just for this little brief intro, because Wing Chun's good for everybody, I'm hoping this is coming across the camera. Wing Chun can be as holistic as you want it to be. You could just do Wing Chun, and I know, and I've taught many people that go, I love the forms, I love the breathing exercise, I love the art, but I've got not a violent bone in my body and I don't want to do it for that. Absolutely, tick, 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 fantastic. I know other guys that come to me over the years and go, I want to do Wing Chun for self-defense. Then I mix it up a little bit with some military combat, change their mindset. It's brilliant. I know other guys that come to Wing Chun and all they want to do is an exercise called Chi Sao. Chi Sao is an exercise you have to work with each other, although I did a good interpretation of that there, didn't I? Look at that, I'm working. Chi Sao, really fast, good movement. I'm going to show you a bit of Chi Sao with one of my students at the end of this and how it actually breaks down. I'll just click to a clip in a minute. The reason why I say that is because Wing Chun is really suited for anybody, providing you identify what you want to do it for. And it's broken down into 3 main sections. You've got forms. So if you're a forms person and you like all of that in the art, it's good for you. You've got exercise, and Chi Sao. Chi Sao, which you're going to see in a minute. Yeah, just a little bit of fun. Think of Chi Sao. Chi Sao means rolling hands, sticky hands. Yeah, Chi Sao as a way of sparring without the fear of getting punched square as hard as in the face. Again, people training Chi Sao and they do hit each other hard in the face and they elbow each other and they kick each other. Defeats the object. It's not trained like that back in Hong Kong, I promise you. In fact, when I was growing up, my Sifu, Grandmaster Samuel Kwok, and his Sifu, Grandmaster or Grandmaster Ip Chun, yeah, they used to come over and I think they used to laugh a little bit. They especially used to teach me, and when they were teaching me, they're saying, listen, when you're getting hit, the fear of getting struck shouldn't be the one that puts you off wanting to train. It's not like sparring when you're there and you get a bloodied nose and your nose is all turned over and you go, I ain't doing that again. I've got to go to work tomorrow. In Chi Sao, it's a fun exercise in which we can learn to be able to work with a partner, increase our speed. We can have some fun, but there's no real fear of getting majorly hurt to deter you from wanting to do it again. Chi Sao is an exercise. I've taught hundreds of people over the years Chi Sao where they just love this exercise. In fact, this becomes their Wing Chun, because that's all they ever do. Wing Chun to them is Chi Sao. Unfortunately, I know lots of instructors that Wing Chun to them is Chi Sao. The way they brand it then is to say, come to my class. I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself. I'm going to teach you the best system of Kung Fu in the world. It's brilliant. And all of that is probably correct in some way. But what they're doing is they spend all their time doing Chi Sao and never been punched in their life. So the third element is a self-defense bit. And that's a mindset shift. And the way I teach it, and I'm going to do over the few weeks, and specifically when we get into the courses, which will be through the Skillzing app I told you about, and Skillzing online, skillzing.co, is this. I believe that if you can change your mindset to that of a fight, Wing Chun is brilliant, but it is a different application. It's about how you move, remember? Hit, do what you need to do, and that involves doing anything, and then get out of there as quickly as you can. Now, if you can change what's in here to prepare yourself for the fight, you can change what's in here to do the holistic stuff, the internal stuff, and you can change what's in here to learn the system of Kung Fu. So Wing Chun gives you lots of different things, which is why I said at the beginning, you can have a holistic approach or a fight and aggressive approach. It can give you all sorts. Right, that's the end of this particular intro. I will say, Google it, check out the hundreds, probably thousands of videos out there where guys are demonstrating Wing Chun on their little profiles and stuff. Some of it is hilarious and some of it you go, whoa, that's pretty good. Yeah. And know this, Wing Chun can be whatever you want it to be, which is why I specifically love it and will probably train in it until the day I die. It's fed everything I've done in my military combat, everything I've done in my self-defense. Wing Chun is at the center of it, it's a core. But what it's given me, on those bad days when I'm getting older and I'm a bit tired, it gives me a little bit of light exercise. On those days where I want to do a bit of breathing, which is most days for me, it gives me a bit of holistic. It gives me a system, it gives me an art. It gives me a theory of which I can apply, which doesn't rely on that. It means I can just move, hit, and then get out of there. And it gives me a very, very good understanding of what Kung Fu to me should be about. So everyone's different in Wing Chun the way they teach, but you've just had an intro on the way I teach it. John, Dave, and how many are there on there? 14 of you, yeah? Thank you for joining me today. It was only a brief intro. I'll announce when I'm going to do the next set of sessions, but we've got 6 to 8 weeks of them. Then we're going to package them all, put them into a course, whack them onto the Skillzing app. The Skillzing app is where you can download free of charge, Google and Apple Play Store, and it's got, we're going to have Wing Chun on there in a few weeks' time, but at the moment we've got women's safety and we've got kids anti-bullying for parenting courses, and what else we've got on there? We've got a mental health course on there, and we've got pads by numbers, boxing home workout on there. We've got lots of stuff on there, right? So, and there's more stuff coming. So the Wing Chun is going to attach to that. Equally, skillzing.co. Thing for you to remember and practice if you are doing Wing Chun, and I know the guys watching definitely obviously are, is when you're practicing, there's certain things you can do on your own. There's never an excuse. I'm going to leave you with one of them now. Do you remember that footwork will be turned 45 degrees like windscreen wipers? And we transfer our body weight on a 60-40, 70-30 split. So I'll turn to the side, I'll turn to the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my left hand in front of my right hand. That's how we did our guard, approximately 6 inches apart. I'm going to turn my feet to the left, so now my right shoulder has gone forward. That means if I turn to the right, my left shoulder, yeah, got it, right? So, guard's there, and I'm just going to punch. And I'm going to punch. And I'm going to punch. Now, what you'll see me do is transfer my punching arm into my guard arm, solid. And then when my punching arm is going out, it's converted from a guard to a punch. And I'm turning my feet at the same time. And I'm turning my body. And I'm generating power through my hips, my quads, my upper body, and that is where power comes from. It comes from the entire body. It doesn't just come from an arm. So all those guys that I've met over the years who do Wing Chun and bodybuilding and like that, they would always say to me, oh, I need to get more speed. I want to generate more power. Most of the time they're generating power with their arms and not with their body. And this is something that I think some guys I've taught in the past have got very frustrated at. Most of the women I've taught, or young ladies I've taught, some of them are girls, over the years, are significantly better at Wing Chun than the guys who go to the gym and work out and get big. And the reason being is because they just understand it's not about this, it's about the whole body. They just have a better approach to it, and therefore they get a better result. And the last thing I'll just say, hand and foot coordination. If you've got coordination naturally, God bless you, but most people I've taught haven't initially. Wing Chun's good for that. Is if I move my hands and my feet at the same time, I can dance. And if I can dance, I can do Wing Chun. So therefore, when I'm doing this movement, I'm having to coordinate my feet and my upper body at the same time. And that takes a bit of practice. So that's your task before the next session, which I'll announce in the next few days. Have fun, pre-practice it. If you've got any questions relating to Wing Chun, then put them on the feed, because this video I'll put out live in a couple of days' time onto all the socials and stuff, and just whack them through. If you're watching this live, thank you very much for dedicating some time to it. And more importantly, I hope you're training. Remember I asked you before we did this little session to send me a little video. Send me a video of a couple of the things that you've been doing, and also for the 3 of you that I've been working with, I want you to send me a video of your whole Selam Tao form. yeah, and I'm going to make it a bit harder. I know a couple of you have been starting on the chi sao practice and some dan chi sao, so I need to see some of that on video as well, right? Anyway, feedback is all I really require. Have a great day, stay safe. You now know a little bit about Wing Chun. Sometimes known as Wing Chun, but we're going to call it Wing Chun because it's better, all right? Do the Googles. Speak to you soon, bye.